The Empress who said no to everyone. The Grand Hall of Titanora was silent, but the silence was not peaceful. It was the kind of silence that carried power, the kind that warned everyone inside the hall that one mistake could end their life. On the throne of carved obsidian sat Empress Lorana, ruler of the giant kin, a race known across the galaxy for their strength, their size, and their pride. She was 20 feet tall, armored in shimmering crystal plates, her silver eyes cold like frozen moons. No expression touched her face as another suitor approached the throne. This one was a warlord from the Iron Peaks, a giant warrior feared even among his own people. He knelt before her, bowing deeply. "My Empress, I offer you my strength, my armies, and my life," he said. The court watched, waiting, hoping. Lorana raised one hand, barely moving 2 fingers. "Denied," she said, her voice echoing like thunder. The warlord froze, stunned. "But, why?" he whispered. Lorana stood from her throne, towering over him. "Because I will not bind myself to someone who cannot challenge me," she replied. With a single gesture, she dismissed him, and the warlord left with trembling steps. It was the same every time. Kings, commanders, generals, champions from distant galaxies, every one of them had come with gifts and promises. And every one of them had left defeated. The Empress of Giants did not want a partner. She did not want a marriage. She did not want to appear weak or controlled. She wanted no one. Or so everyone believed. But the elders of Titanora were growing desperate. They needed an heir. They needed political alliances. They needed stability. So they brought the Empress a new proposal, a strange one, a dangerous one. A proposal from an unlikely world. A world of small, fragile beings. A world humans called Earth. When Lorana heard the proposal, she laughed for the first time in years. "A human," she said, tilting her head, "you expect me to marry a human?" Her laughter shook the hall. The idea was absurd, impossible, insulting. Humans were tiny compared to giant kin, barely reaching her knee. They had no armor skin, no enhanced strength, no ancient bloodlines. To her, a human was nothing. A spark in a storm. A leaf in a battlefield of fire. "No," she said, waving her hand, "the answer is no." The elders tried to argue, but her decision remained the same. She would not meet him. She would not speak to him. She would not marry him. Of all the suitors she had rejected, a human was the easiest to refuse. But destiny has a strange sense of humor. And fate does not listen to empires. The next morning, something unexpected happened. The human, whose name was Aaron Hayes, arrived early. He walked into the grand hall before anyone could stop him. He did not tremble, he did not bow, he did not feel fear. Instead, he simply stood there, staring up at the Empress with calm brown eyes. Lorana turned slowly, her massive form towering above him. Everyone waited for her anger. Everyone expected her to crush him. But something happened that no one understood. For the first time in her life, the Empress froze. Not from fear, not from surprise. But from something she had never felt before. Curiosity. A strange, soft spark in her chest. A feeling she could not name. Aaron met her gaze without looking away. He did not run. He did not hide. He simply said, "So, you're the Empress." His voice was steady, warm, human. Lorana did not speak. Her hand, the size of a boulder, lowered slowly. "And you must be Aaron Hayes," she whispered. Everyone in the hall stared, confused. Her tone had changed. Her eyes softened. Her breath caught for a moment. Aaron smiled, a simple human smile. "I traveled a long way to meet you," he said. Something inside her chest shifted. A warmth she could not control. A pull she could not resist. The elders watched in disbelief as the Empress took one step closer. One massive step that made the ground tremble. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said a word no one thought she would ever say. A word she had refused to 100 kings. A word she had denied to countless warriors. A word she never planned to offer anyone. Yes, she whispered. A single word. A world-shifting word. A destiny-changing word. And the hall erupted in shock. No one understood why. No one knew how. But the giant Empress had said yes, to a human. And nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The human who didn't fear giants. The news spread across Titanora faster than wildfire. The Empress had said yes. Not to a king, not to a warrior, not to a Titan-blooded champion. But to a human. A tiny, fragile, impossible human. Whispers filled the corridors of the palace like restless ghosts. Some giants laughed, thinking it was a joke. Some were terrified, thinking the Empress had lost her mind. Some believed dark magic was involved. Others thought Aaron had tricked her. But no one could explain the truth. Not even Lorana herself. She stood on her private balcony now, towering above the clouds. Wind rushed around her armor plates as she tried to calm her racing pulse. Giants did not feel their hearts beat fast. Giantkin hearts were slow, steady, powerful. But hers was beating like a drum. Like something had awakened inside her. Something ancient, something dangerous. Her mind replayed the moment she saw Aaron. His calm eyes. His steady voice. His lack of fear. It didn't make sense. She had faced wars, beasts, starborn storms, none had moved her like this single human stare. Behind her, footsteps echoed softly. That alone was strange. Giants never walked softly. But these footsteps were tiny. Quiet. Human. Aaron stepped onto the balcony, gripping the railing to steady himself from the rushing winds. He looked small against the endless sky, but he didn't seem intimidated. Not even when he stood in the presence of someone 20 times his size. You left the hall quickly, Aaron said, his voice calm. Did I say something wrong? Lorana turned her head slightly, studying him. No, she said, her voice deep like distant thunder, you said nothing wrong. Aaron nodded, but he did not leave. Then why did you walk away so suddenly? He asked. No one in Titanora had ever questioned the Empress so directly. But Aaron did, without hesitation. Lorana stepped closer, her shadow covering him like a protective shield. I walked away, she said slowly, because I did not understand what happened to me. Aaron frowned gently. What do you mean? She exhaled, a warm gust of wind rolling across him like a soft breeze. When I saw you, she said, everything changed. Aaron blinked, surprised. You mean, you felt something? She nodded once. A force I could not control. Giants did not confess weakness. But she confessed it now, only to him. Aaron didn't tease her, didn't laugh, didn't panic. Instead, he stepped closer, bold as ever. What kind of force? He asked. Lorana's voice softened. A pull, she whispered, as if destiny reached out and touched my chest. Aaron held her gaze. Maybe it wasn't destiny, he said, maybe it was just, me. Lorana's eyes widened slightly. He was brave, recklessly brave. She lowered herself, placing one knee on the balcony floor. Now her face was closer to his level. Her massive eyes stared into his human ones. You are not afraid, she said. Aaron shrugged lightly. Should I be? Her lips curved into the smallest smile Titanora had ever seen. Yes, she whispered, but you are not. Aaron laughed softly. I don't fear people who look at me like you do, he said. Lorana blinked. How do I look at you? Like I'm not small, he replied, like I matter. That struck her deeper than any sword. Because it was true. The moment she saw him, she had not seen his size. She had seen something else. Something no other suitor had ever shown. A spark of life, a quiet strength, a courage that did not roar but still demanded respect. Suddenly, alarms began to ring across the palace. A deep, booming sound shaking the entire mountain. Lorana rose to her full height instantly. Her armor flaring with light. What is happening? Aaron asked, gripping the balcony rail. A giant guard stormed in, kneeling. My Empress, the guard shouted, the outer realms have sent a message. Lorana's eyes narrowed. What message? The guard swallowed hard. They reject your alliance proposals, he said, and they demand to know why you accepted a human as your suitor. Aaron looked up at Lorana. So, this is going to be a problem, he said quietly. Lorana clenched her fists. This is not a problem, she growled, this is a challenge. But the guard was not finished. My Empress, he continued, voice shaking, the outer realms have declared that if your marriage proceeds, they will consider it a threat. Aaron swallowed. A threat. The guard nodded. They say a human does not belong on our throne. Lorana stepped forward, her voice cold and fierce. Then let them come, she said, and they will learn what happens when anyone threatens what I choose. Her words shook the palace. Aaron stared up at her. He realized something important, something dangerous. The Empress was not protecting him out of duty. Not out of politics. Not out of responsibility. She was protecting him because she wanted him. Because she chose him. Because something inside her refused to let him go. And now, the entire galaxy would rise against that choice. The human the galaxy wanted gone. The council chamber of Titanora vibrated with anger. Giant leaders stood around the massive circular table, shouting, arguing, blaming. The news from the outer realms had shaken the entire empire. Some giants believed the Empress had made a mistake. Others feared war. But none of them understood the truth. Not the way Lorana understood it. She entered the chamber with a thunderous step. The arguing quieted instantly. Every giant bowed, though some did so unwillingly. Aaron followed a few steps behind her. Small but steady. Out of place but unafraid. Counselor Vexer, the oldest giant present, slammed his fist on the table. My Empress, he growled, the outer realms demand the human be removed from Titanora. Lorana's eyes darkened. Removed, she repeated. Expelled, Vexer corrected, and if you refuse, they will unite against us. Another counselor stepped forward. Their fleets outnumber ours, she said, a war now would be disastrous. Aaron looked around the hall, feeling the heat of their stares. He knew he wasn't welcome. He knew he wasn't understood. But he wasn't leaving, not when Lorana stood behind him like an unbreakable wall. Counselor Vexer glared at Aaron. This is your fault, little creature, he said, you brought danger to our world. Aaron lifted his chin. I didn't ask your Empress to choose me, he replied calmly. But she did. The council gasped. No one spoke to them like that. No one spoke for the Empress except the Empress herself. Lorana stepped forward, her expression fierce. He is under my protection, she said, you will not speak to him like that. Her voice shook the entire chamber. Some giants stepped back. Some glared harder. Some whispered that she had fallen under a spell. Vexer pointed at Aaron. He is too small, he spat, too weak, too insignificant to stand at your side. Lorana leaned forward, her towering gaze crushing him. Strength is not always measured by size, she replied. Her words shocked the room. She had never defended anyone. Not like this. Not with emotion in her voice. Aaron looked up at her, really looked, and he saw something new in her eyes. Not just duty. Not just pride. Something deeper. A connection even she didn't understand yet. You risk everything for him, Vexor warned, your throne, your empire, your future. Lorana didn't blink. I risk nothing, she said, because he is not my weakness. Her gaze softened slightly. He is my choice. A hush fell across the chamber. The counselors exchanged frightened glances. They knew what her choice meant. They knew she would not bend. Not even to the galaxy. Suddenly, a messenger giant ran in, panting. My Empress, he shouted, the outer realms have sent a second message. Lorana straightened. Speak. The messenger swallowed. They demand the human be handed over to them. Aaron's heart lurched. Handed over, he repeated quietly, why? The messenger hesitated before answering. They believe humans are unpredictable, he said, they think you are being manipulated. The council erupted again. They want him imprisoned. They fear he has power. They want to use him. They think he is dangerous. Aaron stepped back, overwhelmed. He had never asked for this. He had never imagined his presence could start a war between worlds. Lorana walked toward him, her massive steps slow and heavy. When she reached him, she kneeled, lowering herself to his height again. The entire council gasped. The Empress kneeling to anyone was unthinkable. But kneeling to a human was impossible. Lorana's voice softened. Aaron, she whispered, they want to take you because they fear what they do not understand. Aaron looked up at her. So what do we do? She smiled, a dangerous smile. We show them the truth. Counselor Vexor slammed the table. You would go to war for him. Lorana didn't hesitate. I would end a war for him, she replied, and I would start one if necessary. Her words silenced everyone. Aaron felt his chest tighten, not out of fear, but out of something he didn't know how to name. Respect. Connection. Maybe more than that. But before anyone could speak again, the palace alarm sounded. A deep, booming roar echoed through the mountain. The messenger screamed. My Empress, outer realm ships have entered orbit. Aaron's blood ran cold. They're here already. The messenger nodded. They are demanding we surrender the human immediately. Lorana rose to her full height, towering, unstoppable. Her armor crackled with blue energy. Her voice roared across the hall. Prepare the Titan Guard. The ground trembled beneath her feet. Aaron swallowed hard. This is because of me. Lorana looked down at him. Her voice suddenly soft again. No, she said, this is because of fate. She extended her hand to him. Large enough to crush him. But steady enough to protect him. Stay close to me, she said, and I will show them why I chose you. Aaron stepped into her hand without hesitation. And in that moment, the galaxy shifted again. Because a human was now standing beside a giant empress. And the universe was about to learn that destiny sometimes chooses the smallest spark to ignite the biggest war. When the sky burned for a human. The sky above Titanora darkened as the outer realm fleet entered orbit. Dozens of colossal warships blocked the sun, turning the world beneath into a land of shadows. Their engines burned red, like angry stars pressing against the atmosphere. Giant citizens watched in fear, whispering prayers to the ancient gods. They had seen war before. But never because of a single human. Inside the Titan fortress, Lorana marched forward with Aaron held gently in her palm. Her armor glowed brighter with every step. Her presence alone calmed the guards and terrified the counselors who followed her. No one knew what she planned. Only that she would not surrender. Aaron looked up at her. You're going to fight their entire fleet, he said softly. Lorana didn't blink. I will fight anyone who tries to take you, she replied, even if the sky burns. Aaron swallowed. I didn't want to bring trouble to your world. Lorana stopped, lowering her massive head closer to him. You did not bring trouble, she said, you revealed the truth. What truth? Aaron asked. That the galaxy fears change, she answered, and you are that change. Before Aaron could speak, the fortress trembled violently. A deep explosion echoed through the mountains. A guard sprinted toward them. My Empress, he shouted, enemy vessels have begun firing warning shots. Lorana snarled, a sound so powerful the mountain shook. Warning shots, Aaron repeated quietly, that means real shots are next. The guard nodded with fear in his eyes. They demand your answer, my Empress, he said, hand over the human or face destruction. Lorana took a slow breath. Then she raised her hand toward the sky. Energy crackled around her fingers like lightning trapped in a storm. Her voice boomed across the fortress. Open a channel. Moments later, a massive holographic screen shimmered into existence above the courtyard. The face of Supreme Overseer Kaler, the leader of the Outer Realms, appeared. His skin was pale blue, his eyes sharp and calculating. He looked at Lorana with icy disdain before shifting his gaze to Aaron. So, Kaler said, that tiny creature is the source of your madness. Lorana stepped forward, towering over the projection. Choose your words carefully, she warned. But Kaler only laughed. We have studied humans for years, he said coldly, they are unpredictable, emotional, unstable, and dangerous. Aaron clenched his fists. We're not dangerous, he said. Kaler smirked. Oh, but you are, he replied, your kind adapts faster than any species, learns faster, evolves faster, and rebels faster. He leaned closer to the camera. You start revolutions without trying. The council gasped. Aaron felt his heart pound. He had never thought of himself as special. But the Outer Realms clearly thought differently. Kaler's voice darkened. A human at the side of the giant Empress is a threat to galactic power, he said, so we will remove him. Lorana's armor flared with blinding energy. You will not touch him, she growled. Kaler sneered. You overestimate your strength, Empress, he said, your world cannot stand alone. Lorana slowly lifted her hand, and the air around her vibrated. Titanora, she said calmly, never stands alone. She slammed her hand into the ground. A shockwave burst outward like a roaring hurricane, cracking stone, splitting earth, and sending lightning spiraling through the skies. Giant warriors rose across the fortress, their armor glowing with ancient runes. The Titan Guard assembled in perfect formation, ready to defend. But Aaron saw something else, something behind Lorana's power. A flicker of pain. A heavy weight she carried alone. He stepped toward her face, placing his hands on her armor. You don't have to do this alone, he said, his voice steady. She looked at him, confused. This is my duty. Aaron shook his head. This is our fight. Before she could answer, the first real attack came. A beam of red energy tore through the clouds. It struck the mountainside, exploding in a burst of fire and stone. The ground shuddered beneath them. Guards fell to one knee. The fortress trembled. Lorana roared. Shields up. But it was too late. A second blast came, then a third. Fire rained from the sky like burning stars. Titanora was under full assault. Aaron felt helpless watching the destruction. I can't fight like you, he whispered. Lorana gently lifted him closer, shielding him with her armored palm. You fight in your own way, she said, and your way may be the key. Aaron didn't understand. What key? She looked at him with an expression no giant had ever shown a human, trust. The key they fear, she said softly, the reason they want you gone. Aaron's breath caught. Why, what makes me so important? Lorana leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. Because humans, she said, carry something no other species carries. Aaron stared at her. What is that? She looked into his eyes. Limitless potential. And in that moment, Aaron felt something inside his chest. A spark. A pulse. A strange warmth spreading through his body. As if something ancient inside him had heard her words. And finally awakened. The human who awakened a power the galaxy forgot. The sky of Titanora was no longer a sky. It was a battlefield of burning clouds and screaming metal. Outer realm warships fired beam after beam, tearing open the mountain walls. Giants fought on the ground with shields of energy and hammers of light. The world trembled with each blast. But in the center of the chaos stood two figures. One giant, one human. Side by side. Lorana raised her glowing arm, summoning a shield dome around the fortress. Energy burned across her armor like a storm of blue fire. But Aaron saw the pain in her eyes. She was strong, stronger than anyone. But even she could not hold off an entire fleet forever. Another blast struck the shield. Lorana gasped, her knees shaking. She staggered back, the force overwhelming even her titan strength. Lorana, Aaron shouted, "Stop, you're hurting yourself." She gritted her teeth, pushing back against the beam with all her power. "I will not let them take you," she roared. Aaron reached up, touching her armor. "You don't need to protect me alone," he said, voice trembling, "I want to help." Lorana looked down at him, this small human who had walked into her life without fear. This human who had changed everything. "Aaron," she whispered, "they fear what is inside you." A blast of red light exploded overhead, showering them in sparks. Aaron stepped in front of her without thinking, raising his arms as if he could block the fire himself. The moment he did, something impossible happened. A shockwave burst outward from Aaron's body. Silent but powerful. Invisible but unstoppable. The beam of enemy energy bent away from him, curving off into the sky like water avoiding stone. Lorana froze. The guards froze. Even the sky seemed to stop for a moment. Aaron stared at his hands, glowing faintly with silver light. What is happening to me?" he whispered. Lorana lowered herself to him, her voice trembling for the first time in her life. "You awakened," she said softly, "just like the ancient stories." Aaron shook his head, overwhelmed. "Awakened what?" She held out her hand, palm open and warm. "Human potential," she said, "the power your species carries but does not know." Before Aaron could understand, the outer realm fleet opened fire again. But this time, Aaron reacted without thinking. He lifted his hand toward the sky. Silver energy erupted from his palm. A wide barrier formed above Titanora. And the enemy blasts shattered against it like glass hitting stone. Giants gasped in disbelief. Counselors fell to their knees. Even Lorana stared in awe. Aaron Hayes, a human, had stopped an interstellar fleet. Kaler's furious voice thundered through the holographic communication channel. "This is impossible," he screamed, "humans cannot do that." Lorana stepped forward, her voice a deep, powerful roar. "You feared humans for the wrong reason," she said. Kaler glared at Aaron. "He is a threat to the balance of the galaxy." Aaron stepped closer to Lorana. "I'm not a threat," he said, "but I will not let you hurt her." Kaler snarled. "Then you leave me no choice." He ordered the fleet to fire everything. Hundreds of beams rained toward Titanora. A storm of destruction aimed at one human. Aaron closed his eyes. "Lorana," he whispered, "believe in me." She touched her forehead gently to his. An impossible gesture between a giant and a human. "I believe in you," she whispered back. The moment those words left her lips, Aaron's entire body erupted with silver light. The energy shot into the sky, forming a massive dome over Titanora. Every enemy blast hit it. And vanished like dust in sunlight. The outer realm ships shook. Their weapons overloaded. Their engines sputtered. Their shields collapsed. One by one, the ships lost control, drifting back into the darkness of space. Kaler's terrified face flickered on the screen. "What are you?" he whispered, shaking. Aaron lifted his hand, silver light still glowing across his skin. "I'm human," he said simply. "And she chose me." The projection cut out. The fleet retreated. Silence fell across Titanora. A silence full of disbelief and awe. Lorana lowered her massive body toward Aaron. Her eyes soft, full of something no one had ever seen in the Empress before. Tenderness. Respect. Something deeper. "You saved my world," she whispered. Aaron shook his head, a small smile forming. "No," he said, "you saved me first." Her hand gently wrapped around him, warm, strong, protective. He placed his small hand on her armor. Their difference in size no longer mattered. Because something stronger connected them. Across the fortress, thousands of giants bowed, not to fear, not to power. But to honor. To unity. To a human who changed their fate. Lorana held Aaron close. "The galaxy will not forget what happened today," she said. Aaron nodded. "And neither will I." The Empress of Giants looked at the human she had chosen. The human who awakened a power even legends feared. And with a soft, rare smile, she whispered the words only he would ever hear. Words that changed everything once more. "My answer is still yes." And the world of Titanora roared in celebration. Because for the first time in history, a giant empress and a human stood together. Not as ruler and subject. Not as warrior and protector. But as partners chosen by destiny.